FIA have revealed they will not change their way of testing front wings despite the flexing controversy around McLaren and Mercedes earlier this year. This was explained by Nicolas Tombazis, Director of Single-Seaters at the FIA.
Breaking news in the world of Formula One. The FIA has just announced its official decision regarding the controversial flexible front wings debate that has had fans and teams buzzing throughout the 2024 season. So, what's the verdict, and what does it mean for the future of the sport? Let's dive in. It all started earlier this season when Ferrari and Red Bull raised concerns about the flexibility of front wings on rival cars, particularly those from Mercedes and McLaren. This prompted the FIA to install monitoring cameras from the Belgian Grand Prix onwards to ensure compliance.
The unusual front wing on Mercedes' 2024 F1 car is an extreme design that appears to have removed a big chunk of the inside of the final flap in an effort to get cleaner airflow to the front of the chassis. F1's rules say front wing elements must be between 5 and 15 millimeters apart when they come together, and that the rearmost part of each element, except the one furthest back, must not be visible when viewed from above. This effectively means the different elements of a front wing should look like a set of stairs going down, the steps overlapping each other when viewed from above. Mercedes appears to have got around these rules by bolting what looks like a wire to the rearmost edge of the second flap, effectively extending the third and final flap along the rear edge of the second one and obscuring it too. It's basically a clever way of making the front wing have a much smaller area to it without needing to remove the final flap of the wing completely. But there's every chance the FIA will take a dim view anyway and look to close the loophole Mercedes appears to have exploited.
Five laps to go. This is 5.5 seconds to Verstappen.
The controversy centered on whether these wings were bending beyond the allowed limits under race conditions, potentially giving teams an aerodynamic advantage. But after extensive testing, the FIA has confirmed there's no issue with Mercedes and McLaren's designs, as long as they pass the existing flex tests.
Whereas the first results have enabled us to be reasonably optimistic about this season and to feel that we can fight for wins and for the championship, I think the actual final vote of these first 4 races has to be not that high. I don't know necessarily what it would be, maybe a 6 out of 10 for two main reasons. One is that we are not quite where we want to be yet. We are not quite able to fight for the pole positions yet. That is one of our objectives. We haven't yet reached that. And secondly, if you look at the net results, we've had a win, yes, so we're quite pleased about that. We've been able to fight, but we've also had two very bad results where we've had very few points out of it. So I think the net outcome has to be maybe something like a 6. But clearly, in terms of optimism, I think we can be optimistic for the future.
Nicolas Tombazis, the FIA's head of single-seater matters, explained the decision saying, quote, "We are pretty happy with what we've seen. It's not just about being happy or not, it's about whether meaningful tests can be implemented." Tombazis emphasized the challenges of testing front wings due to the varying load distributions across different cars. While the FIA's current tests have proven effective, they've decided not to change the front wing flex test for the 2025 season.
A series of changes to our approach from a methodological point of view, from an organizational point of view. We're trying to improve the facilities. And I guess we've also understood a bit more about how certain aspects of the car work. So putting all of these together, it has enabled us to be a bit better than the previous years. We don't feel that is yet where it has to be. We feel that we are only halfway through these fundamental changes, and we are still working to improve all of these parameters. Methodology, organization and facilities, for example wind tunnel, and so it's a continual process. We had probably lagged behind in the recent years and we're trying to catch up on that.
We have seen 4
This decision hasn't come without its critics. Ferrari and Red Bull, the teams that initially raised the concerns, may feel the FIA's verdict doesn't fully address their queries. However, the governing body sees this as an opportunity to inform future regulations rather than penalize teams retroactively.
Max, let's come to you. What did you change overnight? Because it seems there's been a big difference in performance lately.
A lot.
Can you elaborate in terms of what you...
No, I might get fined.
Are you confident, Max, with the race pace?
Maybe.
How much of a step into the unknown is the race given the problems you had yesterday in practice?
It's an unknown.
Tell us about lining up
It's
along...
not towards you, don't worry. I don't want to upset you.
Can you just tell us about lining up alongside Lando then tomorrow?
I will find out tomorrow.
Max, I know you won't elaborate on what the changes were, but how much of those changes were learning, I guess, from what happened in Baku, where you guys went in the wrong direction?
I would prefer if you ask these questions outside the room.
Max, will you talk to us outside the room? Because technically there's not... Yeah, okay.
Max, what happens if the behavior in this press conference triggers another penalty?
No comment.
Max, how long do you anticipate that you won't be giving answers in the FIA press conference for?
I'm answering. It's not a lot. Problem with my voice.
Meanwhile, Red Bull's Max Verstappen hasn't shied away from making bold statements. He recently suggested that some rival teams might have exploited loopholes, hinting at an unfair advantage during the season.
I don't know, man. Different setup. So as soon as I went into qualifying, I knew the car was... Yeah, I tried to optimize the car all the time, and this time it didn't work out, so I knew that I was stuck with it.
For fans, this decision brings some clarity, but also sets the stage for more drama in 2025. With the FIA opting for stability in their regulations, teams will need to focus on innovation within the current framework. For Mercedes and McLaren, this is a significant win. The FIA's decision validates their designs and clears them of any wrongdoing. But with teams like Red Bull and Ferrari keeping a close watch, the battle for aerodynamic supremacy is far from over. As we look ahead to the 2025 season, the question remains, will this decision level the playing field, or will it spark new controversies? One thing's for sure, the drama in Formula One is only just beginning. That's all for today's update. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for all the latest in Formula One. Let us know in the comments, do you agree with the FIA's decision, or should they have taken a tougher stance?